Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 12 and compare it against the iPhone XS Max and see which particular iPhone is a better one for you in 2024. Now, I will definitely tell you the iPhone 12 is probably the better one for every single person, but the XS Max still is available and it's cheaper, so it might be the better value per dollar for some people. So we'll talk about that throughout this whole entire video. But if you do want to pick up the iPhone 12 or the iPhone XS Max or some other iPhones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones, the iPhone XS Max, which came out back in 2019, oh my god, it's been so long, or 2018 actually, it's been so many years. This particular iPhone on the front basically has a 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED display, and it's a very good panel. I think it was a good panel when it first came out, and still for a lot of people, it still is a really, really good, sharp, interesting panel. There really isn't anything within this particular device that I look at, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a terrible phone. Really, the only things I can kind of think about, one, you are basically getting a, maybe not as bright of a display compared to some of the competition in this day and age. But the only other thing too I can kind of think about is that with the iPhone XS Max, no higher refresh rate, only 60 Hz, but the iPhone 12 is basically the same thing too. But I like the XS Max. It is a significantly bigger phone than the iPhone 12, and I still think there's a lot of reasons to look at a phone like the iPhone XS Max and still think it's a pretty good phone, and it's still supported with software. Now, with the iPhone 12, on the other hand, this is a little bit of a different story. So with the iPhone 12, this particular phone is a smaller device. So you are getting a significantly smaller phone inside of the iPhone 12, and because the sides are flat on that particular phone, it kind of gives the impression that it is a significantly smaller phone than the XS Max. So this phone, you're still getting the notch up top, you're still getting a good, high resolution display. However, with this one, it is smaller, very high resolution still, but you are getting 1200 nits of brightness on this particular phone. So for some people, it is going to be a brighter display for sure than the iPhone XS Max. So once again, if you are wanting the phone that's going to be giving you the overall better experience in some ways, I would probably say the iPhone 12 on the front is probably going to be giving you the overall better experience for the average person over something like the iPhone XS Max. So once again, kind of keep that in mind, but I still think both these phones are great. There's really not too many things to hate on between both, but like I said, if I'm going to pick up one, the iPhone 12's display is going to be better and just nicer to use for me personally than something like the iPhone XS Max because it's so much bigger. Now on top of that, with the iPhone XS Max and with the iPhone 12, both have a lightning ports at the bottom. So it's always nice to have. It's always nice to have, lightning port throughout for the most part. And I would probably tell you for the most part, when I'm going through and using both these phones, they're very, very good. They both feel very good, and I like having that type of capability of, having both these devices like that, meaning that you can just go through and just, plug in lightning accessories and pretty much move on, down that road, which is still a very, very nice thing to have. On the back, you're getting glass backs on both these phones, which still perform very well. Not too much to hate on here. You're getting a dual camera setup on the backside, which are slightly different. We'll talk about that in a second. But overall, I'll tell you on the outside of both these phones, there's still a lot of overlap. You're still getting wireless charging. You're still getting, glass backs, premium quality phones. And it's not like you're going to pick up one phone over the other one and really feel like you're getting like a way worse device in terms of the exterior. They're both very good phones, and I still like both these devices for sure. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, in terms of the pricing, the iPhone 12 right now is a little bit more expensive than the XS Max. So the XS Max is basically going to be giving you a phone that's probably around $100 something to $200. The iPhone 12 is going to be a little bit over $200. So it's going to be about $230 to $250. The XS Max is about $190 to $220, I would say on average. So that right there is another big difference. If you're looking for a cheaper phone, it might mean that the iPhone XS Max might be the cheaper one. And because of that, you're going to be getting a phone that is going to be a cheaper device for the average person, which again is going to be a very, very nice thing. So from that side in and of itself, that kind of covers it up there. Now on top of that, when it comes down to it, with both these phones, when it comes down to the cameras, there's also some pretty big differences. So with the iPhone XS Max, you're getting a wide and telephoto lens on the backside, and with the 12, you're getting a wide and ultra wide camera. So you aren't getting a telephoto lens on the iPhone 12, but you're also not getting an ultra wide camera on the iPhone XS Max. So there is kind of a flip-flop here. It's like both phones are kind of giving you, it's like both phones combined are giving you like an iPhone 12 Pro Max camera. So it's an interesting thing. It's a little difference that we have there for the most part. Now, a big thing I would recommend every single person to think about is that the cameras are one thing. Personally for me, I do prefer an ultra-wide camera over something like an iPhone XS Max, just telephoto lens. But I would probably say the biggest thing here is the fact that the iPhone XS Max is only giving you 1080p at 60 on the front, where the iPhone 12 is giving you full 4K at 60 on the front and back of both these phones. So I would probably say if I'm going to go and pick up a device, something like the iPhone 12 is going to be the significantly better camera. Not only is it newer, but it's going to be giving you the newer chipset, and it's going to be giving you a device with just a better optimized camera when it comes down to it. You have to think about it too, like Apple's going to spend more money and more effort into making sure the newer iPhone cameras are better than the older ones, and this is a perfect example of that. You're definitely going to be getting an overall better camera in almost every single way inside of the iPhone 12 than for something like the iPhone XS Max. But both these phones are still great. They still have a lot of capability and a lot of quality, and I like both these phones for sure. But once again, if I'm going to pick up one, I'm probably going to pick up something like the iPhone, 12 when it comes down to it from a camera perspective. Now, on top of that, some other big things to keep in mind. The iPhone 12 and the iPhone XS Max are still both supported with software as of this point. So it's still very, very nice that we can basically have this software experience on both. We can go through and get iOS 18 updates, but there's a pretty big difference here even within iOS 18. So for one, we all know that the iPhone 12 is going to be a longer lasting phone than the iPhone XS Max. I'd hate for you to go and pick up a phone like the iPhone XS Max and think it's going to last as long as the iPhone 12 because they're both supported with software right now. That is not the case. Basically, every single thing we can kind of think about, the iPhone 12 is going to be the longer lasting phone here for sure. But the other big thing is that with the iPhone XS Max, the thing you kind of have to remember is that that particular phone didn't really get all the cool little features within iOS 18. It got a few and it got a lot, but it didn't get like the most amount of features of all time, which is kind of an issue. If you're wanting a device that's going to be giving you all the software updates and software changes within a software update, you're going to have to go through and buy something like an iPhone 12. Almost, I would say 90% of the features that aren't Apple Intelligence that came out in iOS 18 did come out for the iPhone 12. So that was a really, really big thing. The iPhone XS Max didn't get a lot of the big features. So once again, keep that in mind. I would hate for you to buy that phone and not want it to last as long or whatever. And that's basically what's happening when you're getting these types of devices. In terms of the other side of the performance, the iPhone XS Max is going to be giving you an interesting build. So it's going to be, an Apple A12 Bionic chip inside with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 12 is giving you that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM as well. The thing I can definitely tell you about the performance of of this particular phone is that in a lot of ways, both these devices still hold up fairly well for the most part. So it's not like one of these phones, again, are going to be terrible and the other one's going to be way better. I would probably say for the most part, these devices are very, very good for the most part. And there's not really too many things to kind of hate on here. I would probably say for the most part, if you're going to go through and use, the performance level of both these phones, pretty good, nothing super insane going on here. But I would probably tell you that with the iPhone 12, it's going to be the better phone here in almost every single way. And from a performance side, this is definitely going to be the better one I can probably imagine to recommend to people. So beyond that, I would probably say that all these phones are great. Again, there's not much to hate on here, but I'd probably tell you that the iPhone 12 is going to be the significantly better phone in almost every single way. If I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, I would probably say that the iPhone 12 is the one that I'd recommend every single person to go ahead and buy, and that is the better one here in almost every single way. I think the iPhone XS Max is still a good phone in some ways, but like I said, you are much better off buying something like an iPhone, 12 and kind of just going down that direction. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit the subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.